While the national population exceeds that of the minority by more than 10 times, we must realistically take into account the following. 1. An estimated 40 to 50% of the white population will not, for various reasons, engage the minority during an emergency. 2. American armed forces are spread around the world. A breakout of war abroad means fewer troops at home to handle the emergency. 3. Local law enforcement officials must contain the emergency until help arrives, though it may mean fighting a superior force. New York City, for example, has a 25,000-man police force, but there are about 1 million minority members in the city. We are confident that the minority could hold any city it took for only a few hours. The lack of weapons, facilities, logistics all put the minority at a final disadvantage. Since the Korean War, this department has shifted minority members of the armed forces to areas where combat is most likely to occur, with the aim of eliminating, through combat, as many combat-trained minority servicemen as possible. Today, the ratio of minority member combat deaths in Vietnam, where they are serving as, quote, advisors, unquote, is twice as high as the minority population ratio to the rest of America. Below is the timetable for King Alfred as tentatively suggested by the JCS, Joint Chiefs of Staff, who recommend that the operation be made over a period of 8 hours. 1. Local police and minority leaders in action to head off the emergency. 2. Countdown to 8 hours begins at the moment the President determines the emergency to be A. National, B. Coordinated, C. Of long duration. 8th hour. 3. County police join local police in the 7th hour. In the 6th hour, state police join county and local forces. The 5th, federal marshals join state, county, and local forces. 4th, National Guards federalized, held in readiness. Regular armed forces alerted, take up positions. Minority troops divided and detained along with all white sympathizers under guard. 8. And that's in the 3rd hour, excuse me. In the second hour, all minority leaders, national and local, detained. President addresses minority on radio television, gives it 1 hour to end the emergency, the 1st. And then 0 hour, all units under regional commands into the emergency. 0 committee report.
I was just wondering, that may be O committee, like the operational committee.
You may be right. Survey shows that during a 6-year period, production created 9 million objects, or 1,500,000 each year. Production could not dispose of the containers, which proved a bottleneck. However, that was almost 20 years ago. We suggest that vaporization techniques be employed to overcome the production problems inherent in King Alfred. Signed, Secretary of Defense.
I think that last little part there, the O committee report, might be worth rereading, Nip, just because it's so cheap. It doesn't strike one at first, and I think listeners should listen very carefully to the language here. The units they're talking about are black people.
And they're talking, the production that they're referring to production of 20 years before, and we all know what this is supposedly is something written in the mid-60s, 20 years before that, of course, being during World War II, production being incapable of keeping up with the demand, so to speak. Again, reading from O Committee report, survey shows that during a 6-year period, production created 9 million objects, or 1.5 million each year. Production could not dispose of the containers, which proved a bottleneck. However, that was almost 20 years ago. We suggest that vaporization techniques be employed to overcome the production problems inherent in King Alfred.
Vaporization, of course, referring to liquidation.
Yes, and referring to not being able to get rid of the bodies fast enough, basically, to put it in simple terms.
So now you hear it. They plan on liquidation. Liquidation means to kill the black people. They got everything set up in order. So what was a sign of it's getting ready to happen? Well, the white members of the South African apartheid Donald Trump is letting them over here. So they got to make room for them. Because the Zulus kicked them out. Won't no other country take them, so they're getting ready to come over here. They already, if you look into your neighborhoods, you'll see a whole lot of vacant, rundown houses. Over here in Detroit, they're already moving in neighborhoods where there used to be a black population. Now it's beginning to be Caucasian. These Caucasians are refugees from France and other parts of Europe where they're fighting at, and they're over here now. Some of them are Chaldeans and Muslims, so-called Muslims. So they can't use the black man no more. He's not good for anything. They got robots to take their place, computers. Most of the black people are in jail. So they got to get rid of them. They're going to be the first to go, the ones in jail. So this is just something for y'all to think about while y'all arguing with each other, you know, over silly stuff. Yeah, you better get your thing together. Stock up on food, whatever you can. This ain't no joke. And don't get mad at me because I can see and y'all can't. This is Black Light.